A lot of people in the business world waiting to see what the US Federal Reserve is going to be saying later on today.
That's right. The Fed is expected to end its monthly asset purchases of $15 billion. There's no press conference scheduled, so it'll be a quiet end to an unprecedented monetary experiment by the Fed. Its original goal was to help the labor market boost liquidity and push investors towards riskier assets. Now, most experts agree that the strategy got the U.S. economy back on track, but at a cost.
They're worried about doing monetary policy with a big balance sheet. The Fed currently holds just over $4 trillion in treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. They want to shift the emphasis of monetary policy back to interest rates and forward guidance.
Right, investors surely paying very close attention to all of that. How are the markets looking today?
Oh, that's right. That's the big news for today. Now, markets just opening up here in Europe. The FTSE and the CAC 40 both trading up about 0.4%. The DAX doing a little bit better, 0.8%. Now, that news about the Fed is also weighing on investors' minds in Asia. The Japan's Nikkei hit a 3-week high earlier today, thanks to positive data that the industrial production rose to its fastest rate since January. Shanghai also hit a 3-week high, closing on that positive news.
All right, sensitive topic now here in Europe, at least, telling countries how to spend their money. Some budget battles may be coming to an end later on today.
That's right. Brussels has cleared the budgets of France and Italy. Since the financial crisis, the European Commission was endowed with greater powers to pressure EU countries to meet deficit targets. Now, the Commission has been negotiating with France and Italy, the Eurozone's second and third largest economies, over their budgets, and both countries have agreed to tighten their belts even further. In France's case, the government made an additional 3.6 billion euros in cuts. Shirley Sitbon reports.
A showdown averted. The European Commission had been pressuring France to trim its 2015 budget deficit after the country said it would reach 4.3% of GDP, far above the European 3% limit. But following France's last-minute adjustments, the Commission decided not to reject its budget plan. In a statement issued a day before the deadline, the commissioner in charge of economic affairs wrote,
"I cannot immediately identify cases of particularly serious non-compliance which would oblige us to consider a negative opinion at this stage."
Officially, Brussels is convinced by France's last-minute efforts to trim the budget deficit by an additional 3.6 billion euros. It's a plan which won't see any tax increases or spending cuts. On Monday, the country's finance minister said he plans to raise 900 million euros by cracking down on tax fraud and scrapping a range of deductions given to companies. The remaining amount will come from lower than expected interest payments and contributions to the EU budget. Although there's no open confrontation between Brussels and France, the struggle isn't over yet. Talks over the budget will continue next month with the new Juncker Commission. France refuses to cut its budget deficit further for now, saying this would hurt growth. While the Commission doesn't want to sanction Europe's second largest economy, it still hopes to bring it in line with European rules.
All right, now here's a novel idea for you. Does wealthier mean happier? The UK is about to find out, aren't they? Tracking people's happiness.
That's right. Prime Minister David Cameron had said he wants to measure the progress of the country not just by how the economy is doing, but by how our lives are improving, not just by the standard of living, but by our quality of life. Now, that first data is due out December 23rd, just before the holiday season, so it'll be interesting to see how they fare. But this comes as the British economy slowed in its third quarter. Its GDP grew just 0.7%. An article in The Guardian says the secret
that wonderful photo.
Yeah, that's in Glastonbury. And it says the secret might not be down to money. And this isn't unprecedented. Most famously, there's the Himalayan kingdom of Bhutan, which has been tracking happiness since the 1970s. And other countries might be jumping on board as well, such as Canada and even here in France.
That would be very interesting, wouldn't it? All right, one last story now. Hobbits in France. Tell us more.
Well, hats off to 18-year-old student Leon Pont for coming up with the idea. He's made the trailer for his film The Hobbit, Origins of the Cantal, that will come out on DVD next year. The goal is to show off the region's lovely landscapes. The trailer's already been viewed 30,000 times, and it's even using the official actors from when The Hobbit was translated into to French, I think it's a great idea. Hobbits and foie gras.
That's amazing, isn't it? It's a bit different. Maybe get some more tourists going to that region.
Exactly that.
Thanks very much. Will Hildebrandt there with a look through the day's top business headlines. We're going to move on to the international newspapers with Flo. Hi there.